What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Make It Custom. I'm Carl Fisher, and today we are back on the 1939 Lincoln Zephyr project. I know some of you are waiting on this thing, as am I. Crazy things are happening in my life right now, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. But I don't want to let any cats out of any bags until the bag is for sure got a cat in it, okay? So anyway, this door needs the bottom put on it. We're gonna do a little bit of metal prep and painting and actually prep the inside of the door before we finally wrap the skin over. That's what this video is all about. I'm really excited to finally get this done so we can move on to the other side and keep going on this thing. So thanks a lot for watching Make It Custom, everybody. Let's get into it. All right, well, I guess first things first. With this going to be, we're gonna attach this for the final time here, right? So I wanna make sure that it's like dead nuts. Like this thing has to be perfect or perfect-ish because we are gonna have 2 layers now and we are not gonna be able to adjust any shape once this thing's on here, right? So the one thing I have a little bit of a problem of, it's tough to see in here. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, but it's looking a little bit flat right here, and it does need to kind of dip in a little bit more. Now, when you have a shape that is a compound curve to a reverse curve, shrinking and stretching affect those shapes the opposite. So, if I wanted to get this to come down tighter, because this is a compound curve, right? We're going outside like this. I would need to shrink this together to make that tighter. Now, this being a reverse curve, it goes in like this, right? If I add surface area to this or to this by stretching, widening this, that will bring this area down towards the metal. Hopefully that makes sense why shrinking and stretching do that. Because if I was to stretch this more, it would have to go that way because the curve is going like that, right? If the curve was this way, I would have to shrink it together to bring it down. So I have a little bit of stretching to do here, so I'm just gonna go back and forth and stretch that, try and get that a little bit closer. And as soon as that is ready, which will not take me long, I hope, then we will go to our products and start talking about that. Myself, personally, there's a lot of different products out there and there's a lot of different ways to do this. I like this Pour 15 metal prep. This is what I have been using. This stuff works really well and the directions are pretty simple. We basically are going to kill all the rust with this. Any of the spots that were not replaced with new metal, whatever kind of cancerous rust is on that, we're gonna kill it with this. It's pretty easy. You just put it in a spray bottle, you keep it wet for 20 minutes. A little bit longer if you're really trying to remove rust, then you can keep it wet a little bit longer. But all this orange stuff, right? All those little deep pits, it's an acid that's gonna get in there and it's gonna kill and neutralize that rust. So I would like to do that while it's all open. Another thing to keep in mind is that there's a lot of parts of the car we're just not gonna be able to do that to, right? So it is what it is. We're gonna do what we can, where we can, when we can. So that is my plan. I'm just gonna adjust the fit of this. As soon as that's ready to go and I'm happy with it, we're gonna neutralize all the rust in here, make sure that it is good and soaked for, I'm probably gonna do half an hour because there are 2 seams here, right? I wanna make sure that it gets right in between there because we didn't fully take it apart. We'll do that. And then we're gonna coat the inside of this and the outside of this and into these channels with a really good direct to metal paint. So I'll show you that as well. Once that's done, let me back up for a second because the areas that are being folded over and welded, we're gonna put some weld through primer on those areas. But we're not gonna weld through prime the whole thing. That's another misconception that I've run into with just chatting with other car guys is that sometimes people will use that rust through, weld through primer on as primer. And it's not really the best at that. It's got metal in it on purpose so that it does the job of being a weld through primer. You don't see people putting this stuff on entire cars, right? Doesn't make sense. So the better product is like a direct to metal, you know, paint, and then you just put that stuff where you're actually gonna weld, okay? Or at least that's how I've always done it, how I've been told to do it, what I think makes sense. Take it for a grain of salt, however that saying goes. Okay, I'm gonna start working on this and try and get it to fit a little bit better. I think I'm going to just stretch with the kick stretcher like I was doing, but just a little bit more in some of those areas that I can feel are not quite touching down there. And then, like I said, we'll continue on. All right, well, this piece is getting pretty close, but there's a few little bumps that I'm just not even going to be able to get without doing it by hand. So guess what? We're gonna planish a little bit by hand and then see where we're at, probably start prepping it. How are we gonna get this? What is gonna be the best way? There's just a few dents that I want to pick up near the edge here. So nothing too crazy, but kind of need something flatter. Is this gonna work? Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. The other thing I'm looking at is that this is flat and then curves, and then this is just kind of all curved. So there's something going on here that could be manipulated. I think actually we'll be able to manipulate any of that when we fold this edge over. I think it's probably just because of how much shrinking we've got going on here. So yeah, let's see how she fits. Got most of that dent out. Remember, I'm a 100% good enough kind of guy, not a metal finish to perfection kind of guy. I actually saw, I wish I had more info on it. There is this completely perfect car, and I think it's a Charger. It's all bare metal, it's famous, it's like an insane build. I wish I knew exactly who I'm talking about right now, but it's a famous build. You'll be able to find it if you look up like bare metal clear coated Charger that is insane. I just saw something where the guy from the shop that built it, he's probably the owner, he talked about 10,000 hours to make the body perfect. Like the body of that car had tons of custom mods, widened, all kinds of stuff, tons of welding all over it. The car's perfect. It's as perfect as it gets. Like the finish of the metal looks like paint, and they cleared it. Like it's polished. It looks perfect. 10,000 hours. hats off for sure. Average guy in the garage probably doesn't need to think about doing anything that far. You need a team, you know what I mean? I'm sure there's guys that can do it, but we're not those guys, so watch his channel if he's got one if you want to do that. This is 100% good enough. It fits pretty good. I'm not using a clamp to hold it on, like it's sitting pretty. And this came down a lot nicer. We're nice and flowing here. I think I'm pretty much ready, or I'm tired of making it better. So let's start prepping it. All right, well, it's been going for like half an hour. You see how it gets all chalky? That's like it converting the rust or whatever it's doing. It doesn't say to do it, so I guess it's probably not necessary, but I used to use rust mort as well. And anyway, I'm neutralizing with a base. This is just baking soda and water. I'm gonna spray everything down with this, kind of wash it, and then dry it really, really well. Really well. And once it's completely dry, there we go. Then we can just kind of prep it for paint. I'm just gonna brush on Dom 16. It sounds like it's a ripoff of Pour 15 actually, but like when I say it out loud, but it's the same kind of stuff. It's just like some really good black paint. We used it on the whole ramp truck and it worked really well. It's still on there underneath it. The whole chassis is all done with that. So acid, from my understanding, it just keeps going, right? Like acid will keep aciding if you don't wash it. But somebody will correct me in the comments because it doesn't say it on this stuff. Maybe I'm just kind of like using the same techniques that I used when I used the rust mort stuff, but I don't know. I feel like it can't hurt. I got everybody here. We are gonna have a chop class, I think, by the time this comes out next weekend or something. That's the car that's going under the knife. That car is for sale with one spot in the chop class on the website. There's only 2 spots left, period. I believe there might only be 1 spot. But if you're interested in coming out here, chopping a car with me, and learning everything that it takes to do the bracing, all the inner structure, that kind of stuff. And we do kind of like a metal shaping course on the sail panels for the back corners on the last day. It's a 3-day deal. Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday, or sorry, Friday night, Saturday all day, Sunday all day. And it's a lot of fun. Anyway, it's actually a pretty good car. Anyway, let's get back to this. I'm just gonna blow it all off now, dry it all off. All right, new day, new shirt. We are back at it. I had to leave this overnight because it was just taking a very long time to set up. So I guess this is an overnight thing. It wets out really nice, like it becomes very shiny and hard looking. You can tell that it's a very durable paint, like it's really hard to get this tape off. I should have done it while it was wet. So tip for you. And yeah, the reason why we do this, once again, is so that we leave that clean edge so that we can weld. I'm just gonna use the weld through primer only on the edges that are getting welded on and hemmed over. This flange is gonna get hammered over, and then we'll spot weld on the backside in a few spots just to hold that hem in place. And then we will butt weld this whole area, which I've also taped. Man, okay, super regretting not peeling the tape while it was tacky. I should have peeled the tape last night. I didn't. You guys should do that. Don't let it harden up because this tape is gonna be difficult. Well, I was reading in the comments, and you guys don't like the copper weld-through primer. You guys like the zinc weld-through primer. And I think the copper stuff welds better, but apparently, through reading in the comments, the zinc stuff is better. So, I don't know. I bought this before you guys said that, so I'm not gonna waste it, but maybe next time I will suffer with the zinc in the welding department, because I learned that it's better. Well, all right. We are here at this stage now where we can actually tack this thing on, start getting it wrapped over. Have not done one of these ever on a Zephyr, but you know, same as a door bottom, I guess. We are just gonna make sure everything fits really good. We're gonna get a couple of tacks in place up top, and then we're gonna start hemming this bottom seam. So to do that, I brought a couple of different hammering devices. We got, I mean, I'll be totally honest, this is the hammer I've just always used forever until I was at a, you know, garage sale and found this guy. I think it was a swap meet, not a garage sale. This is a proper, like, door skinning hammer, I guess, just because of the shape of the end, and then it gives you a little bit of extra bend so that you're not knocking the head of the hammer or the top of the hammer into, you know, your door skin or your inner structure. It kind of allows you to come at it like this, you know, with that little bend. But you can just use a normal hammer like this. It works. These, I've got a couple of leaf spring slappers. That's kind of to use as a dolly. It's kind of like a nice large area that's sort of soft that, you know, is going to spread the load out among the whole panel. When you're hitting it with a hammer, that's gonna help with not denting it. Basically, if you go in with, you know, a small dolly that has a sharp curve on it, and you're trying to use that while you're hammering over this flange, you're basically gonna be warping the crap out of it. So it's ideal to have as flat of a or as large of a surface area covered on your dolly when you're hammering it over. That means that the weakest point is gonna always be the flange, and you're not gonna, you know, ding it into a sharp part of a dolly and be a little bit off and then just bang dents into it for no good reason. This is the outside of the car, so we don't wanna do that. We're gonna take our time. We're gonna get some tacks on it. This edge is gonna be a little bit of a fight. We're gonna have to push in some areas. We're gonna have to clamp in some areas. Like, you know, if everything fit absolutely 100% perfect, it would make it even easier. You know, if all this was new metal and I replaced everything underneath the door, we'd be TIG welding it. But quite honestly, I'm super happy with the repair, and I'm sure it's gonna be grand. So I'm using a 110 MIG welder. This is just my little Memco-matic dial a setting one. It's like, you know, got the 4 different settings. I always set it on the hottest I can. The reason being is that the hotter your tacks are, the faster they can be, right? So in order to control distortion, we want to be in and out of there as quick as possible. We want to be able to tack and then cool it, or just, you know, tack very fast so that it doesn't heat everything up. This is nice and thick. There is a backer here, so the amount of heat absorption is going to be pretty good. We don't have a, you know, it's not going to do a ton of warping, but we want to warp as little as possible because we have no way to hammer out this seam. That's another reason why I'm choosing MIG welder over TIG, is that if I TIG weld this and TIG weld the whole thing and let it warp, that would be great. And I'd be able to hammer it afterwards like we did the center of this door skin. That's all TIG welded because we have full access to the backside. We can hammer and dolly stretch our welds back out, which is what happens when we are welding and introducing that much heat, is we're shrinking everything. That's what causes the warp. But in this area, it would be very difficult to hammer that back out. So we're gonna MIG weld, we're gonna get a few tacks on it, and then we're gonna start kind of hemming the edge and then fully welding this and sanding it and putting it back on the car. The other thing is that during this process of hammering over the edges, these edges are gonna change. They're not gonna be perfect. That's also why your aftermarket panels are not perfect, is because when the inner meets the outer and you wrap this edge over, obviously some, you know, difference in edge is gonna happen. So you have to bump it back. So once we put the door back on, we'll be able to kind of tune up the front and back edge of this and this, you know, side profile to be exactly what we want it to be. Well, we can tune this one up with our gauge. We made a gauge for it, it's right here, right? So anyway, let's get this thing tacked on. All right, I've got it fitting pretty good. Tacked on most of the way here, and no clamps are on it. It's sitting pretty awesome down here. Like there's no gaps being pulled away, and yeah, it shouldn't be too bad to get that hemmed over. But that is kind of the next step. I got a couple more tacks to make here. We're gonna grind these tacks down, maybe bump it around a little bit just to make sure it's all straight. And then we'll start whacking this over. All right. These clamps are great for doing this. They kind of reach around. So you got a flat side and a side for the flange. So I'll just clamp it in a few spots. You might be able to see, like, none of this is really perfect, right? Like it's not, I'm not too worried about getting every little dent out of it and stuff. You know, I know there's gonna be a little bit of Bondo in this car. For sure. But it's 100% good enough. Okay. So, I just want to clamp it in a few spots so that I can just keep moving my way down. So I'm just going to hammer over the flange in a couple of spots. Just putting a dolly, like a flat dolly on the top side here. Move this down a little bit, give me a little more access. This is probably the best dolly for what we're doing. Just this slapper. So I'll probably go to about like this most of the way down, but I'll pinch it in a few spots. But we're just gonna work our way down this front edge here and pinch it hard in a few spots, but just kind of slowly get the whole thing tipped over. It's looking pretty good. If you go nice and slow and try and focus the hammer near the edge, like don't just go for the tip of the flange right away, but focus the hammer blow to slowly bend it over, focusing closer to the edge. I think you'll find that it ends up being a straighter line, because if you end up curling the end over and then having like a bit of a bubble in the flange, you know, the end touches first and then you push on here, it might stick your edge further out. So it's take your time, just go nice and slow, and All right, so now it's just kind of like loosely folded over, pinched in a couple spots. And I think part of the reason why it's staying nice and straight is because when we flanged it, we did do the sharp top die on the bead roller and the flat bottom, and we made like a cut line almost as we were flanging. So that definitely, I think, contributes to how nice and straight this edge stayed when we turned it over. So I think I'm gonna flip the door over now and try and see if it's a little bit easier for me to hold the dolly on the bottom and for me to hit up top. To be honest, my arm is getting pretty sore. All right, so this is all clamped down pretty good. We're gonna do these ends. In this flange here, we tipped it to 90 and then we actually shrunk it a bunch so that it would hold this curve, right? So technically when we fold that back down, it needs to stretch in the center here, right? And as much as we were trying not to wrinkle this material because we didn't want to stretch it there, right in the corner of this, it's okay to wrinkle that because it's going to need to stretch to allow that flange to come all the way around. So I'm just saying that it's okay to hit it aggressively in here with the backside of one of these hammers so that you can get some stretch in it. It'll actually make it easier putting it on. So also you might have noticed I use this for the reverse curve section of the dolly hammering for this flange, and I use this for this convex section, and that's because this is flat and I don't have a convex dolly, so I use a flat one. You're always trying to use the flattest dolly and hammer to, or I guess the closest dolly and hammer to whatever curve that you're doing work to. The reason being is that it just it covers more ground. If you have something too sharp and you hit the hammer on something sharp versus something flat, it's going to stretch it. So that is the reasoning behind my dolly choices there. For this being an outside curve, I'm going to use this. Also, the heavier the dolly does make a difference as well. It's easier to hold and it's easier to absorb the shock of whatever you're doing. So that's what I'm doing here is I'm just going to actually start with a little bit of stretching. I have some better hammers for this, like a shark head hammer would work even better. Actually, even this has a sharp. This will be good to finish it off, that rounded head. This is the kind of hammer for stretching. Shark head hammer. I don't know what the real name is, but. Doesn't create as many kind of kinks into it. Ooh, I definitely have to cut this little 90 degree on here. Yeah, those are overlapping. We don't want that. see if I can get it with snips. Just kind of. Totally didn't even think about that. There we go. Okay, so stack attack technique. We are literally stacking a tack on the back side of our last tack. We are stacking a tack. You want to have the panel tacked probably every inch or so just to make sure that your panel alignment is good. I like to tack from one end to the other so that you don't accidentally tack here and these two were not lined up properly, so by the time you chase them in, you end up with a bunched up amount of metal in that. You don't want that. So I try to tack things, I'll line it up here, then here, then here, then here, then here, then there, you know what I mean? Or you could start in the center and go this way, but basically you want to not capture any potential misalignment, if that makes sense, okay? So once you're at the 1 inch mark every inch, then you're gonna start stacking a tack on your last tack. And that's how we're just gonna kind of zip up all these areas in between our tacks, is by just tack, 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 moving all the way along, and then you just come back and do it again. That way it's kind of an even, you can tell, it's just an even way of doing it. Not only that, after each tack, we're gonna blow it with air, a little blowgun with a chunk of brake line in it. The reason why we're blowing it with air, it's not to like harden it or quench it, although it kind of is doing stuff like that. But what it's trying to do is that as soon as that tack becomes solid, not molten metal anymore, you blast it with air. And that's also why we have the welder set up hot, is so that we can just do it super quick. It's like, instead of like zap, right? You don't want a long tack because that's just more time for that heat to spread. So you want quick, small tacks. That's also why I want the butt joint tight as possible. Like if there's a gap, I've got some gaps, it is what it is. But I like to have everything tight gap so that you have, a very quick, consistent little zap and you can keep moving on, right? So you zap it, as soon as it's not molten, blast it with air. That keeps the heat affected zone from spreading, that keeps the panel from absorbing that heat, and it ultimately, I find that it manages the warp really well. So if you don't have access to the backside to hammer out your weld afterwards, it's a question I get asked a lot, and a lot of people don't like answering that if you're a coach builder, but I'll just MIG weld it and do what I can to keep the distortion down. Obviously in the center of a big, open area like this, I'm gonna TIG weld that from start to finish, one end to the other, so that I have a nice consistent fit, nice consistent amount of heat, nice consistent amount of warp, and I can hammer it back out. This area I can't hammer, and there's quite a bit of shape in it that also helps keep its shape. All right, so there we go. It turned out pretty good. Doesn't have any really weird bumps or lumps in it. Don't know if you guys can even really see, but take my word for it. The warp is very little, if any. So I kind of tapped it all down with the big slapper here. This is just made out of a leaf spring. That's all good. So I think the next step is gonna just be to toss it on the car and see how much the profile of this panel has changed. This could have changed, this could have changed, and that other end could have changed a little bit by us, wrapping this edge over all the way around. So the next step, I guess, is, just bolt it on the car, we'll line it up, we'll tune up those edges, and we'll have a door. All right, so let's see. This is pretty good, actually. It's actually not too bad. Could get bumped up a little bit, I think. Our body line looks good because the door is nice aligned vertically. Looks like, with the door looking good right here, this edge could be bumped out a little bit because down here on the corner, it's kind of lined up. And down here, it's pretty lined up. So I think also this could maybe come up a touch. I think the whole thing should come up a touch because this is a little bit low. So we got a little bit of messing around to do there. See if we can't just viciously bend this thing up. Oops. Yeah. It's pretty strong. I don't know if, I did get it up. Yeah. It is up a bit. Might have to bump right here. Bring that up. Bring this out a little bit. I don't know about this area yet because that piece isn't on there. There's the piece right there. This will probably have to check with some gauges, but that'll be kind of next. Overall though, pretty stoked with how it came out. Look at that. Right on. Nice slow curve here. That all looks pretty good. We've got our template here. Curve. Oh, it's back to place, so it's kind of bent. Let's put that back. I mean, it's hard to tell because of this little vent spot, but it looks really good. It's amazing how little shape, well, this looks like it's a little bit of shape, but it's actually a lot, and it holds its place. Like it's really strong when you have, especially two shapes, and the lower piece had those ribs on it. Like it's pretty tough, so. It didn't really move. Didn't really move much at all. Fine tuning for sure once we get this other piece in back here, but definitely a step in the right direction. This body gap turned out beautiful. This really didn't change much. Like we really did good there. So anyway, I'm super stoked with the progress. Lots more to do on this car. Lots more to get done. I'm gonna keep hammering on it. We did take a little break. So, you know, the cat that was in the bag that I'm gonna let out now is that we are moving. This shop will only be here for a couple more months, basically. Or the shop's staying, but I won't be here. I am moving shops. So that is happening. More on that as things progress. But in the next couple of months, I will be packing up. So I'm gonna try and get as much done on this car as possible before then, so you guys got some stuff to watch, because this is gonna be a big move. Anyway, thanks a lot, everybody. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for watching Make It Custom. Check out japhandskustoms.com if you'd like any merch, tools, etc. We do have some new stuff coming on there, and more on that soon as well. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.